Morning. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Morning. Hello. Can you hear?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me, right? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. 4 more minutes. Okay. Let's
But your
start.
voice is little bit low.
Still low. This is
Yes.
okay. We'll start at exactly 10 o'clock. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Good morning, all of you.
Good morning, ma'am.
Okay.
Good
Today
morning, ma'am.
morning. We are starting with the back of leg. Okay. So for to know about the muscles and the fascia, everything about the back of the leg. First, you have to know about the osteology part. So in the leg, like in the we have femur bone was there, right? So similarly in the leg, you have to know that is back of the leg. So posterior surface of, you have to know about the, that is the tibia and the fibula. Okay, along with that you have to know some tarsal bone also, that is the talus. Okay, so and below you can see the sustentaculum talli of calcaneus, that is calcaneum, talus, tibia, fibula, along with other tarsal bones also. Okay, to know about the insertion part and origin part of the muscles in the back of the leg. Along with that, you have to know, we have already discussed in brief about the femur also. Still here also you have to know, this is the lower end part only. We will discuss lower end of the femur. In the lower of the end of the femur, you can see the two condyle, that is elevated part here. Okay, lower end. So facing medially is the medial condyle of the femur, and laterally you can see the lateral condyle. Just if you extend above the condyle, there are two epicondyles. So facing medially, that is the medial epicondyle, and the laterally, that is the lateral epicondyle. And above we have discussed, that is the linea aspera, right? So line going and diverging in the lower end, and this on the medial border side, you can see the medial supracondyle. Above the condyle, that is the supracondylar line, that is medial, and laterally also you can see this is the lateral supracondylar line. Along with that, one more point you have to remember, along the medial side, okay, in the lower end, just above the condyle, you can see that is a small elevated tubercle, you know now, right? So tubercle is a round elevated part just above the, that is the medial condyle of the femur. So this is the adductor tubercle. So you have already heard this name during studying the muscles of the thigh also. Okay, these are the landmarks you have to remember from the femur. Along with that, in the tibia and the fibula, now you have to know this is the upper end of the tibia, shaft of the tibia, and the lower end of the tibia, and fibula also, that is apex, and the rounded head, constricted part neck, and this is the posterior surface. Okay, this is the posterior surface of tibia and the fibula. So here was the posterior border. Along with that, the medial crest in the midline, you can see there is the elevated medial crest of the fibula, and in between the lateral border of the tibia and the medial border of the fibula, you will get the one membrane, okay, that is known as interosseous membrane. So in between the bone membranous, that is the interosseous membrane, and in the posterior surface of the tibia, so one line you can see obliquely running line, that is known as the soleal line, and this is in the upper third, okay, of the posterior surface of the tibia. And if you see downward from the middle part of the soleal line, that is the vertical line extending, that is also in the upper part of the posterior surface, just below the soleal line, that is known as the vertical line on the posterior surface of tibia. Okay, these are the points you have to remember. And then the sustentaculum tala, you can see here. Later also we can discuss this one. That is the, you can see a horizontal self-like projection present in the calcaneum bone. Okay. So now that is the back or the posterior compartment of the leg, which is also known as the calf region. So in this part, now we'll study about the superficial muscles, deep muscles, that is the what are the structure present in the posterior compartment of the leg. So first we'll study the, that is the muscles, divided into normally three groups also, you can say superficial group, intermediate group, and the deep group. So superficial muscles are not very long, so they are inserted to the heel, and main function is like raising the heel while walking. You can feel while walking you will raise the heel portion, right? So superficial basic function is that is raising and walking. So and deep muscles enter the sole, and they have function over there like plantar flexion of particular area wherever they are inserted. Along with that, there are bones, two bones we have already discussed, that is the tibia and the fibula in the back, that is leg bones, and arteries, that is the posterior tibial artery. So whose another branch is the peroneal artery. So mainly you can say that the posterior tibial artery, and branch of which is the peroneal artery. So these two arteries are the main artery to supply the posterior compartment of the leg, and nerve, only one nerve, that is the tibial nerve and its branches. Okay, these are the structure present on the posterior compartment of the leg. So now in the superficial fascia, here you can see there is the two veins, blue color you can see, that is the one is the short saphenous vein starting from the lateral side of the foot, you can see this one. Okay, so formed by the dorsal digital vein of the little toe and the dorsal venous arch in the dorsal surface of the foot. So it is going upward from the, this is the lateral malleolus. So behind the lateral malleolus and extending upward. So here it was along with the sural nerve in the lower part, and it as it goes above in the back of the leg, and it is along with the posterior cutaneous nerve of the thigh. There is the longest, you can see cutaneous nerve here. So along with that, and here it is small saphenous vein. You can see here piercing the deep fascia to enter the, that is the popliteal fossa. Okay, you have already studied about the popliteal fossa also. So this and drain into the popliteal vein. So it is draining from the lower part of the lateral side of the foot, lateral side of the leg, and the back of the leg. Okay, that is the venous drainage. Along with that, in the superficial fascia, in the upper part, you can see small twigging, that is the great saphenous vein, only in the upper and the medial part of the posterior compartment of the leg. Okay, this is the great saphenous vein. Other course is in the, that is the medial side only. Along with that, you can get the cutaneous nerves or the sural nerve also there. Sural, that is a communicating nerve, lateral cutaneous nerve of the calf, and these are branches of the saphenous nerve. Along with that, for the heel, that is the medial calcaneal branch of the tibial nerve. So this heel side and the small portion of sole is supplied by the medial calcaneal branch of the tibial nerve. Okay. So along with that, two arteries, that is the medial and the lateral calcaneal artery, which are the branches from the posterior tibial artery. Structure present, and we see the cutaneous innervation in the back of the leg. You can see the posterior cutaneous upper part of the middle part of the back of leg, medial side small portion saphenous nerve, and lower part and the lateral side of the foot, that is supplied by sural nerve, and the heel exactly, that is supplied by the medial calcaneal branch of the tibial nerve. So this part sometimes the MCQ also asks, that is the heel will be supplied by which nerve? Okay, that is the medial calcaneal branch of the, that is from the tibial nerve only. Okay. Now that is about the superficial fascia. Okay, now after removing the superficial fascia, we will go to the deep fascia. So again in the deep fascia, here you can see the blue color. Okay, that is the retinaculum. We have heard many times this term. Okay, so retainer, that is the retinaculum present on the lower part, that is the medial side of the ankle joint. That is the modification of the deep fascia. So this is known as the flexor retinaculum. Very, very important for sporters also and for theory also. So you have to draw the diagram first. Describe what is the flexor retinaculum. With the modification of the deep fascia, and that is the broad thick band, okay, and about 2.5 centimeter broad, you can see this one, and the location wise you can see the medial side, this is the ankle, so medial side of the ankle, and this is the medial malleolus. So just behind and below the medial.
Ma'am, you are muted.
Okay, now attachment. So you can see the attachment here anteriorly. This is the, you can see the medial malleolus. So attached to the, this is the tip. Okay, so tip and the this posterior surface. This part is the anterior surface, right? So lower is the tip, along with the tip, that is the posterior surface of the medial malleolus. That is the anterior attachment of the flexor retinaculum. Whereas you can see the posteriorly, it is going backward. This is the calcaneum. So medial process of the calcaneum. Okay. So medial process of the calcaneal tuberosity is the posterior attachment, and the anterior attachment is the tip and the posterior surface of the, that is the medial malleolus. Okay, so these are the attachment of the flexor retinaculum. Now same thing here, you can see the structures passing. So now you have to remember this is the retinaculum, and now structure passing beneath the retinaculum. So see here, if you see this retinaculum is there, just behind the or the below the retinaculum, you can see the structure passing. So beneath the retinaculum, you can see what structure you can see. Now you can make the formula also: Tom, Dick, and Harry. Like previously in the extensor retinaculum also, I think you have made the formula. So if it is easy for you, you can make any formula. Here now I'm telling Tom, Dick, and Harry. So if you see here, you have to test now. So T for the tibialis posterior term, right? Along with that, this is the flexor digitorum longus. So here Tom, Dick, that is the flexor digitorum longus. After that, Tom, Dick, N, A, and N. So red color is the posterior tibial artery, and N is for the nerve, that is the tibial nerve. Along with that last, that is the Tom, Dick, and Harry. S for the flexor hallucis longus. So it is going hallus means the great toe. Okay, so flexor means it will cause the function is the flexion of the greater toe, and it is long, so longus. So flexor hallucis longus. Okay, and these are the formula. And the flexor digitorum longus will go to the lateral toe. Okay, that is the, they will cause the flexor of the lateral four toes. Okay, these are the structure passing beneath the flexor retinaculum. Very, very important. Okay, so same thing it is here also. So you have to go either from medial to the lateral. So just now I mentioned from the medial to lateral. So this is the medial side. So Tom, Dick, A, N, and Harry. So tibialis posterior. Then the there is a flexor digitorum, artery, nerve, and the flexor hallucis. Okay, these are structure passing beneath the, that is the flexor retinaculum from medial to the lateral. Okay, now what is the function of this retinaculum? So or everywhere the function will be same of the retinaculum. Here also there is so many three tendons are passing along with the nerve. So these will hold these tendons and arteries and the nerves in their position as they are. See if they are coming downward and rolling down and passing, that is the on the plantar surface of the sole. So main function is to hold the tendon in this position. Okay, that is the function of the flexor retinaculum. So as there are vessels, nerve passing beneath the retinaculum, so here we can use one syndrome is there, that is known as the tarsal tunnel syndrome. So it is there is a tibial nerve is present beneath the retinaculum. So in this condition, in the tarsal tunnel syndrome, the tibial nerve is sometimes compressed in this, that is the osteofibrous tunnel. So this condition is known as tarsal tunnel syndrome. So which will give rise to the symptom like tingling sensation, pain, and the burning sensation in the sole of the foot. Okay, that is the tarsal tunnel syndrome. So nerve is compressed, which result in the conditions such as pain, burning, and along with that there is a tingling sensation on the, this is the lower part. Okay, that is the sole of the foot. Okay, so if it is severe, then we can remove or the surgically remove the retinaculum. That is the treatment. Surgical treatment is the surgical removal of the flexor retinaculum so that the nerve will not be compressed. Okay, that is the tarsal tunnel syndrome. Okay, so after that we are going to the muscular part. So here you can see the same bone we have already discussed. So here you can see the structure present on the posterior compartment of the leg. So we have divided by the drawing. Here you can see the three compartments are there. You can see superficial. After that is the intermediate compartment and the deep compartment. Okay. So in the superficial compartment, if you see, there is the deep fascia, and below that you can see the superficial muscle. So we are going to the from superficial to the deep. So gastrocnemius, just beneath the gastrocnemius, small vestigial muscle that is known as plantaris, tendon of the plantaris muscle, and deeper to the this muscle you will get the big muscle that is known as the soleus muscle, So these are the in between the, that is the two here transverse facial septa are there to divide these muscles into the, so superficial and the deep facial septa, transverse septa will divide the muscles of the back of the leg into different compartments. Okay, so superficial to the superficial facial transverse facial septa are the three group of muscle, that is the gastrocnemius, plantaris and the soleus. So in between now, this is the superficial, that is the transverse facial septa, and this is the deep transverse facial septa. So in between this superficial and deep transverse septa are the two muscles now. So one is the flexor hallucis longus. Along with that, you can see the flexor digitorum longus. Okay, and and just deeper to the deep transverse facial septa and the this is the interosseous membrane, green color. So in between these is one muscle, that is the deepest. Okay, deepest group of muscle, that is the tibialis posterior muscle. Okay, so these are the structure present. Along with there, here you can see the nerve, artery and the veins. Okay, contents is described in this picture, same thing. So superficial group of muscle are the gastrocnemius, plantaris and the soleus. Okay, along with their deep group of muscle, popliteus, flexor digitorum longus and the flexor hallucis longus. And after their deepest group is the, this is the tibialis posterior. Okay, and the arteries are the tibial and the peroneal, and nerve of this compartment is the tibial nerve. So moving towards the superficial group of muscles of the back of the leg. Okay, here you can see that is the two head of the gastrocnemius. So gastrocnemius is a bulkiest muscle, you can see here also, with the two head facing medially, that is the medial head of gastrocnemius and the lateral head of the gastrocnemius. So you have already got idea while studying the popliteal fossa, that is on the boundary, right, by the medial head and the lateral head of the gastrocnemius. So if you cut this gastrocnemius, you can see the tendon. Okay, this is small belly of the plantaris muscle and long tendon of the plantaris. So after cutting this, you can see deeper to the gastrocnemius, there is the tendon of plantaris, and beneath this is the soleus muscle. Okay, these are the superficial group of muscle. So moving to the gastrocnemius, see this is the, like the stomach, that is the bulky muscle, because it will lead to the bulge of the calf muscles. So two heads are there and the different origin pattern for both the head, medial head and the lateral head. So now medial head arises from, now you have to remember it is arising from the femur only. Okay, so medial head arising from the posterior superior. Now you have to remember the adductor tubercle, posterior superior part of the medial condyle behind the adductor tubercle. Okay, this point you have to remember, posterior superior part of the medial condyle behind the adductor tubercle, and the, that is the posterior facing surface is the towards the popliteal fossa, that is the popliteal surface, that is the floor of the popliteal fossa was formed by the popliteal surface of the femur. So that surface also is the origin of the medial head of the gastrocnemius. Along with that, so lateral head, so arising from the lateral surface of the lateral condyle. Okay, so lateral surface of the lateral condyle is the lateral head. And one more point you have to remember here. So lateral head of the gastrocnemius, that is the, in the tendon, there is a one bone, that is the sesamoid bone grows in the lateral head of the gastrocnemius. So that is the sesamoid bone, whose name is fibula. So you have to remember this point for the MCQ. The sesamoid bone grows in the lateral head of the gastrocnemius, which is known as the fibula. Okay, the sesamoid bone are the bone which grows in the tendon of any muscle like patella in the quadriceps femoris, right? So that is also the largest sesamoid bone present in our body. Along with this, another example of the sesamoid bone is the fibula. So whose function is like reduces the friction, okay, sesamoid bone, and along with that they will pull the direction of the, that is the muscle pull. Okay, so change the direction of the muscle pull. These are the function of the sesamoid bone. So now we have discussed two sesamoid bone, patella, and one is the fibula. So fibula grows in the tendon of the lateral head of the gastrocnemius. Okay, for MCQ. So after that, you can see that is the two fleshy belly of the gastrocnemius. Okay, so medial head, one medial and the lateral head of the gastrocnemius going downward, and then in the middle they are fusing, almost fusing, right? So they descend on the leg and unite with the, this is the soleus. So together they will unite, they will fuse to belly, unite with the tendon of the soleus and form this thick tendon that is known as the, that is the Achilles tendon. Okay, so Achilles tendon or the tendocalcaneus. Okay, so two head of the gastrocnemius will fuse to form the tendon, and along with this tendon, this will fuse with the tendon of soleus, and they will form the Achilles tendon. You can see here, thickest tendon of our body. Okay, so after that they will insert on the, this is the calcaneus now. So you have to remember that the posterior surface, that is also middle 1/3. So middle 1/3 of the posterior surface of the calcaneus is the insertion of the gastrocnemius. So now together with the gastrocnemius there are two heads, right? Along with that, that is the soleus. These three structures together are known as the triceps surae. Now you have to remember again for MCQ. So structure forming the triceps surae. So you have to remember either the, we may give the option like plantaris also, and gastrocnemius and the soleus. So soleus and the gastrocnemius, not the plantaris, will form the triceps surae. So two head of the gastrocnemius and the soleus together will form the triceps surae. MCQ. Okay. So after that, the action of the muscle, that is the gastrocnemius. So you know these are present in the flexor compartment, and so basic function and crossing the, that is the ankle joint, right? So chief function is the, that is the plantar flexion of the foot at the ankle. That is also during the extension of the knee joint. So to act this function, you have your knee should be extended, and then the plantar flexion. Okay, so these are the chief plantar flexor of the ankle joint. Okay, and it is also because it is arising on the femur, so it also has the action on the knee joint. So that is also the flexor of the knee joint. Okay, along with that, that is the, they will help in the running and the jumping. Okay, so while running and jumping, the gastrocnemius muscle is also used. So now nerve supply of the gastrocnemius. So nerve in the posterior compartment leg is the tibial nerve. So they both the head are supplied by the tibial nerve. Again, that is also in the popliteal fossa. So this also you have to remember for MCQ. So not in the leg, but the branches for the gastrocnemius will be from the popliteal fossa. Okay. Now tennis leg. So normally while playing the tennis, that is the medial head of the gastrocnemius may tear or sometimes strain. So okay, that is also at the junction of the, that is muscular part and the tendinous part. Okay, so these lead to the tennis leg. Okay, may normally occurs in the, because of tennis player. So this is the name given like tennis leg. Okay. So after that, how to test this muscle? Okay, so to test the gastrocnemius and the soleus, that is the triceps surae. So you have to ask the person to stand on the toe, or that is the plantar flexion, because action is the plantar flexion only, right? So when doing the, while doing the plantar flexion at the toe, that is the plantar flexion of the foot, then you can feel the tendon in your, that is the leg also you can feel, that is the tendocalcaneus can be seen and palpated just above the tail. That is very thick, so you can easily feel the tendon of the, that is the gastrocnemius and the soleus together. That is known as the Achilles tendon or the tendocalcaneus. Okay. So now after that, soleus muscle. So soleus is a bipinnate muscle, name arising because it looks like the sole of the foot or sometimes the flat fish like. So name is the soleus muscle. So originated from the back of the head. Now you have to remember, and the see here, back of the head and the posterior surface of the upper 1/3 of the shaft of fibula. So from the posterior surface of head and the posterior surface of the upper 1/3 of the 1/4 of the, that is the fibula. After that you can extend. So this is the soleal line, and the middle one. So you can trace this one. So first is the head, posterior surface, and the shaft. After that you can see the tendinous arch of the soleus, this one curve type. Okay, that is also origin. After that it is going downward, that is the soleal line of the tibia and the medial border. So this is the medial border of the tibia. Okay, so fibula to the arch to the soleal line, and then the medial border of the tibia is the origin of the soleus muscle. Okay, and insertion same as the gastrocnemius, that is the posterior surface of the middle 1/3 of the calcaneus. So now calf muscle pump or the peripheral heart. So calf muscle pump means there are gastrocnemius and the soleus together. So they form the calf muscle pump, which help in the venous return from the lower limb. That is about the calf muscle pump. Okay. So now soleus muscle is also, I think you have heard this already, this term, that is the peripheral of the heart. Peripheral heart of our body is the soleus, because soleus muscle, within the soleus muscle there are large numbers of the venous sinuses present, right? So when this muscle contract, right, contraction of the soleus muscle lead to the, which will help in the communication of the, that is the superficial vein via the perforating vein, and it will communicate with the deep vein directly. Okay, so when this muscle contract, so it will suck the venous blood from the superficial vein. Okay, so because of this pumping action of the blood, it is also known as the peripheral heart. So it has help in the venous return directly to the heart. Okay, so this is the main important function about the calf muscle and the soleus. Now soleus muscle is a very big muscle. Okay, so it is also said that the flexor digitorum, again it will come on the sole of the foot, there is a flexor digitorum brevis, is said that it is the detached part of the soleus muscle. Okay, so nerves supply by the tibial nerve by two branches. So first branches supply the muscle in the popliteal fossa from the superficial surface. Okay, so another branches will supply in the leg. Okay, that is the from the deeper surface. Okay, so one branch is in the popliteal fossa and other branches in the leg, that is from the deeper surface. Now action. So similarly same action like, okay, like the gastrocnemius, one function is the plantar flexor of the foot at the ankle joint. Okay, after that it steadies the leg on foot during standing support, and it is a slow acting but more powerful than the gastrocnemius. You have studied in the muscle in the gross anatomy already. Okay, so more, that is the button gear means it is more powerful, like one gear, right? In the car it is very strong, and okay, like that this is also as a act as a button gear. Okay, whereas the gastrocnemius help in running and the jumping. So after that you can see another, this is the tendon. Okay, that is the Achilles tendon or the tendocalcaneus. Okay, this is the conjoint tendon formed by the tendon of the gastrocnemius and the soleus. So strongest tendon of the body, which is about 15 centimeter long, and most important that purpose, attachment of the soleus muscle and the plantaris and the gastrocnemius muscle. So axon is the prime mover of the plantar flexion of the foot, that is at the level of ankle joint. So plantar flexion, okay, that is the function of the Achilles tendon. So now moving to the plantaris muscle. So here you can see the plantaris muscle. So this is a vestigial muscle. Sometimes it may be present and sometimes it is missing in our body also. Okay. So originated from the, here you can see this is the lateral supracondyle line of the femur along with the popliteal ligament which is present on the ligament of the knee joint. Okay, so two origin, that is the lower part of the lateral supracondyle line of the femur and the oblique popliteal ligament. So now you can see it is going down a long tendon passing right in between the soleus and the gastrocnemius and attaching on the, that is the calcaneus, on the medial side of the Achilles tendon. You can see this one. So inserted in the middle 1/3 on the posterior surface but medial to the tendocalcaneus. See here, this is the medial side of the Achilles tendon. Vestigial muscles and very function is not very important function, only sometimes it will lead to the weak plantar flexion of the ankle. So it has no much important function. So this tendon can be used for the reconstructive surgery of the hand. So if we remove this muscle of the tendon, so we will not lose any particular function. So we can use as a reconstructive surgery of the hand. So as this plantaris has the long tendon, you can see, and very thin actually. Sometimes it is very difficult to identify also. So sometimes that is normal in the first year student, MBBS student, they will confuse this tendon because it is very thin, right? So they will get confused with the nerve. So it has given the name like Freshman's nerve. Okay. So basically first year student will get confused this tendon with the nerve. So name of this tendon is the Freshman's nerve. Okay. So after that, these are the muscles present on the superficial group of the back of the leg. Now moving towards the deep group of muscle, so you can see that almost obliquely running short muscle, that is the popliteus muscle. After that, you can see the flexor digitorum by the name digit. It is going to digit, flexor digitorum. And laterally, you can see the flexor hallucis muscle. So after lifting and slightly moving the muscles, that is digitorum and the hallucis, the deeper group of muscle, that is the most deepest, is the tibialis posterior muscle. So we have to lift these two muscles to see the tibialis posterior muscle. Now popliteus origin you can see arising from the popliteal groove on the lateral surface of the lateral femoral condyle. Okay, along with that, you can see the menisci that you have already studied, that is the fibrocartilage, that is the lateral meniscus, and the arcuate popliteal ligament. So these are the three origin of the popliteus, and you can see insertion. Just this is the soleal line. So upper triangular area just above the soleal line, you can see this one. Okay, so medial 2/3 of the triangular area just above the soleal line is the attachment of the popliteus muscle. So now action. So action, it is very important, and in details about this action again I will discuss in the knee joint also. Here I will discuss that is superficially. So main action is this popliteal muscle is the key muscles of the leg. Okay, so it is like opening, like you know the importance of key, right? So it helps in unlocking the locked knee. So during the extension of the knee joint, so that time all the ligaments are stretched, and that time to unlock, that means initial stage of flexion. So first it is in the extended position, that is lock of the joint. Okay, knee joint, locking of the knee joint. So to unlock the knee joint, that is mainly done by the popliteus muscle. So while doing this, there will be the rotation of the femur, that is lateral rotation of the femur. Okay, that is the initial stage of flexion, which is done by the popliteus muscle. And it also pulls the lateral meniscus. Now you have to imagine that in the knee joint, that are the medial and lateral menisci, which are the fibrocartilage. Okay, so trap and cross in between the condyles of femur and the tibia. So tibia also has condyle, and the that is the femur also has the condyle. So it will prevent from the trapping of the menisci. Okay, these are the two important functions of the popliteus muscle. So most important is the locking and the unlocking mechanism. Again, in details you have to know in the knee joint only. Okay, Along with that, one more thing you have to remember, popliteus muscle is the muscle. Now you can see that is very deep muscle that is intracapsular in the origin. Okay, so popliteal muscle is inside the capsule. Now you know about the capsule of the joint. So that is the popliteus is the only muscle which lies that the within the capsule. Okay, that is the intracapsular in the origin. After that, nerve supply. So it is supplied by the branch of the tibial nerve. So it arises, that is the branches coming from the popliteal fossa and crosses across the superficial aspect of the muscles. And now you can see this, right? So it will winds down the lower border, then only it will go from the popliteal fossa and in the superficial surface and the wind down and in the lower border. So this is the upper border of the popliteus and this is the lower border of the popliteus. So in the lower border it will wind and supply from the upper aspect, that is by the tibial nerve. Okay, now flexor digitorum longus. So flexor digitorum longus muscle by name, that is the, here you can see that is on the medial side, tibia you can see. Okay, so posterior surface of the tibia below the soleal line. So flexor digitorum longus arises from the posterior surface of the tibia just below the, because above the soleal line was the popliteus. Now below the soleal line is the flexor digitorum longus. Okay. So after that you can see the tendon crosses the tibialis posterior. So you can see here the flexor digitorum longus is going downward and this is the flexor, the tibialis posterior you can see. So it will cross, here it is crossing the tibialis posterior and then the passing, here is the flexor retinaculum, here it was there, right, flexor retinaculum, and again it crosses, here you can see that is the flexor, here is the upper part, it is crossing the tibialis posterior and after that again it is crossing the flexor hallucis longus. So tendon of the flexor digitorum longus is crossing the tendon of two group of muscles. And finally by the digit, now it is common for all longus, so they will be inserted in the base of the distal phalanx, that is also lateral, because for hallux we have separate muscle, that is the flexor hallucis longus. So the flexor digitorum will go and insert it on the base of the lateral 4 digit. So base of the distal phalanx of the lateral 4 toes. Okay, that is the insertion of the. So here you can see in the sole. So before splitting into the 4 digit, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it will give rise to the origin of the flexor digitorum accessorius of the, that is the muscle of the foot. Okay, so which will give rise again the origin of the, that is the lumbricals. Okay, these details I will not discuss here. So now nerve supply to this muscle also same, that is the tibial nerve action. So they are going to the till the distal phalanx. So it has action, it is crossing the ankle joint. So action is in the ankle joint also and in the, that is the toe also. So plantar flexion. Now you have to remember plantar flexion of the lateral 4 toe. So these 4 toe, that is plantar flexion is done by the flexor digitorum longus. Along with that, that is the one action is the plantar flexus as the ankle joint. Along with that, it maintains the longitudinal arch of the foot. That is the medial longitudinal arch of the foot is also maintained by the flexor digitorum longus. But most important are the plantar flexor of the lateral 4 toe and the plantar flexor of the ankle joint. Now, that is the flexor hallucis longus. So now flexor digitorum was arising from the tibia, right, just below the soleal line. Now you can have to go more laterally for the flexor hallucis longus. You can see here this is the fibula. So from upper part towards the origin of the muscle. Here you can see in the lower part. So lower part of the posterior surface of the fibula. Along with that, the interosseous membrane. Here also you can see interosseous membrane present in between the tibia and the fibula. So this is about the origin of the flexor hallucis longus. So now this tendon is going downward Okay, flexor hallucis longus. So, and then inserted in the plantar surface of the base of the distal phalanx of the great toe. Now you have to see this one. This is the great toe. So distal phalanx as the base, plantar surface. These three things you have to remember: plantar surface of the base of the distal phalanx of the greater toe. So one point you have to remember here also, that is it passes from the, that is the sustentaculum tali, just below the sustentaculum tali. There is a groove, okay, groove for the, so I'll show here after some time. I'll show there is the below the sustentaculum tali of the calcaneus, there is a groove for the flexor hallucis longus, finally inserted into the base of the distal phalanx of the greater toe. So here you can see one is the dorsiflexion. So you are asking, this position is the dorsiflexion, and if it is going downward, this position is the plantar flexion. Okay, so plantar flexion and the dorsiflexion. So today we are discussing about the plantar flexion only, right? Okay, so you have to stand on the toe, so that there will be the plantar flexion. So first, this is the hallucis. So its action will be on the hallux, that is the greater toe. So that is the plantar flexion of the this greater toe. Okay. So this is the plantar flexion of the greater toe will be done by the flexor hallucis longus, and weakly will be the plantar flexion of the ankle joint, and along with that it will also support the medial longitudinal arch of the foot. So nerve supply, you can see the arch is like this. You can see this one. So this is the arch of the foot. Some are flat arch, right? Flat foot. Some are high arch. Some are normal arch, right? So now nerve supply will be by the tibial nerve. Now tibial is posterior. So very important for sporters also. Okay. So tibial is posterior is the deepest group of the muscle. Volki also, and located, that is originated from the posterior surface of the shaft of the tibia below the soleal line, and from the posterior surface of the shaft of the fibula. So from both sides it is originating, that is the posterior surface below the soleal line of the shaft of the fibula, shaft of the tibia, and the posterior surface of the shaft of the fibula is the origin of the tibialis posterior. Now insertion, you have to remember all the, this inserting in the all the muscle, that is the tarsal bone, except the, you have to remember, that is the talus. Okay. So first part is the tuberosity of the navicular bone. Here you can see. So insertion is the tuberosity of the navicular bone. After that, we inserted to the cuboid bone, and then the three cuneiform bone, and the bases of the second, third, and the fourth metatarsal bone. So tuberosity of the navicular bone, cuboid bone, and the three cuneiform bone, and then the 2, 3, 4. That is the basis of the plantar surface of the, that is the metatarsal bone. Okay, that is the insertion. So one point I was trying to show there just now, just before I have discussed, this bony part you can see, this is the sustentaculum tali. Okay, of the, this is the calcaneus bone. So this is the, that is the horizontal self-like projection. Okay, present on the, that is the antero and the medial part of the plantar surface of the calcaneus. You can see this one, anterior medial part. So this is the sustentaculum tali. Just below the sustentaculum tali, there is a groove or the depressed portion through which the tendon of the flexor hallucis longus will pass. So in the osteology Bible also we asked this one, like last time I have told peroneus longus muscles. We'll ask this group, right? Group for the peroneus longus in the lower part of the cuboid bone. So here also you have to remember that is on the, just below the sustentaculum tali, there is group through which there is a passage of the tendon of the flexor hallucis longus. Okay. So after that, the action. So that is the inverter of the foot. I think you have studied about the other inverter of the foot from the front compartment of the leg. That is the tibialis anterior along with the tibialis posterior. These are the major muscles which will lead to the inversion of the foot. So normally dorsiflexion and the plantar flexion, we have seen here, that is the dorsiflexion and the plantar flexion are occurring in this joint, that is the ankle joint. Okay, so ankle joint, whereas the inversion will take place in the soft talar joint. So this is the talus, so just below talus. So this area is for the inversion of the foot. So inversion takes place in the soft talar joint, whereas the dorsiflexion and the plantar flexion will occur in this joint, that is known as the ankle joint. Okay. So now nerve supply by same nerve, that is the tibial nerve. So now moving towards the artery. So we have seen till the that is the popliteal artery in the popliteal fossa. So same popliteal artery, you can see this is the popliteus muscle. So in the lower border of the popliteus, so this is the upper border of the popliteus, this is the lower border of the popliteus. So in the lower border of the popliteus, that is the popliteal artery now divided into two branches, that is the posterior tibial and the anterior tibial artery. Okay. So these posterior tibial artery is the larger branches of the popliteal artery. So these branches, now here you can see the arch formed by the soleus, and the you can see this tendinous arch of the soleus here. So it enters from the arch, that is the posterior tibial artery. So it will supply the muscles from the posterior compartment and the lateral compartment of the leg along with the sole also. So beginning just now I mentioned from the lower border of the popliteus muscle, and then it is going downward in the posterior compartment of the leg between the tibia and the fibula. That is, so we have here removed the gastrocnemius. Okay, so beneath the gastrocnemius and enter the back of leg, just now we have mentioned, that is the from the tendinous arch of the sole. Okay, and it is going downward and somewhere towards the medially. So here you can see, so it is lying laterally is the nerve and the medially is the artery. Okay, and the lower part of the leg, it is going more posterior and the medial aspect to reach the, that is the towards the medial side of the ankle joint. So in the now in the midway between this medial malleolus and the this one is the medial tubercle of the calcaneus. So here you have to remember medial tubercle of calcaneus and the medial malleolus. So here passes here, and within the flexor retinaculum, that is beneath the flexor retinaculum, this artery, that is the posterior tibial artery, will terminate by dividing into the medial and the lateral plantar artery. Okay, this is about the posterior tibial artery. Now branches, so many branches are there in the, that is the posterior compartment. You can see the first and the most important and the largest branches of the posterior tibial artery, you can see this is the peroneal artery or the fibular artery, that is to supply the lateral compartment of the leg. You can see this one. Okay, so after that, this is the largest branches arising almost just 2.5 or 2 cm below this, the lower border of the popliteus. After that, that is the muscular branches to supply the muscles of the compartment, posterior compartment. Okay, after that the nutrient branches. So nutrient branches basically will supply the, that is the bone. There are foramen called nutrient foramen in the bone. So they will supply the, they will enter by the nutrient foramen of the tibia. Okay, so that is the nutrient foramen. After that, there is the one branch that is circumscribing the neck of the fibula, that is known as the circumflex fibular branch of the posterior tibial artery. After that, you are getting the communicating branches here in the middle part of the shaft. So these communicating branches will communicate with the similar communicating branches of the peroneal artery. Okay, and after that is the medial malleolar branches, and the terminal, that is the last one is the calcaneal branches, and terminal branches just now we have mentioned, that is the medial plantar and the lateral plantar artery, which occurs just beneath the flexor retinaculum. These are the branches. So now applied aspect. So this posterior tibial artery, that is the pulsation of the posterior tibial artery, can be done, that is against the bone. Normally we will feel the pulse against the bone only. at about 2 centimeter below and behind the medial malleolus, but in front of the medial border of the tendocalcaneus. Okay, so that is the location to feel the pulsation of the posterior tibial artery. So here you have to mention that is the posterior tibial artery lies beneath the flexor retinaculum. So to test this posterior tibial pulse, so this patient is asked to invert the foot so that the flexor retinaculum is relaxed. If the patient can do this inversion, in that case, that might be the occlusion, somewhere the occlusion of the posterior tibial artery. So pulsation of this artery you can feel in that stage. Okay. So now peroneal artery. So peroneal artery is the artery for the lateral compartment. That is the largest branches from the largest branch from the posterior tibial artery, originated from about 2.5 centimeter below the lower border of the this popliteus muscles, and you can see it is running obliquely towards the fibula. Okay, and downward, this is the crest of the fibula. Okay, this is running along the crest of the fibula and ends on the lateral surface of calcaneus and termination by giving rise to the lateral calcaneal branches. Okay, so here you can see two lateral calcaneal branches. That is the terminal part of the peroneal artery. Now branches, that is the muscular branches to supply the muscles of the lateral compartment, communicating branches to communicate with the similar branches of the posterior artery, perforating branches, and the terminal artery, that is the lateral calcaneal branches. So we have already known about the dorsalis peris artery, which you can feel on just anterior side. Okay, that is the pulsation of the dorsal peris artery. So this is normally felt just lateral to the tendon of the extensor hallucis longus. So you know this formula also, structure passing beneath the extensor retinaculum. So if you know the formula, it was just lateral, right? Tall husbands R. So R means A, that is the extensor hallucis longus, tall husband S, right? So lateral to the tendon of the extensor hallucis longus, that is also again against the tarsal bone. So why you have to remember here, why I am focusing on the dorsalis peris artery pulse is that sometimes this while taking the pulsation of the dorsal peris artery, sometimes this dorsal peris artery is replaced by the this perforating branch of the peroneal artery. So you have to know this one. So sometimes it is sometimes reinforced or also even replace the dorsalis peris artery, that is by the perforating branch of the peroneal artery. Okay. So now tibial nerve. So tibial nerve is the largest. In details we will not discuss because again there will be the nerve and the nerve injury separate topic. Just whatever nerve comes in the posterior compartment only I am discussing. So arising from the back of the thigh, this you know, at the junction of the upper 2/3 and the lower 1/3, and that will enter the popliteal fossa. And from the popliteal fossa, it enters the posterior compartment of the leg. So here you can see in the upper part of the leg, the nerve lies medial to the artery, and almost towards the middle part of the leg, you can see it is going posteriorly. Okay, so it's crossing the artery from behind and it is going more laterally. Okay, and then passing just posteriorly to the ankle joint, that is the medial malleolus. Okay, and terminate deeper to the flexor retinaculum by dividing into the medial plantar nerve and the like the artery, medial plantar arteries and the lateral plantar artery. Here also nerve is there, medial and the lateral plantar nerves. So branches are the muscular branches to supply the muscles of the posterior compartment, and one branch is that to the joint, that is the ankle joint, that is the articular branches, and that medial calcaneal branches which will pierces the flexor retinaculum and supply the skin of the back and the lower surface of the heel. And other branches are the medial and the lateral plantar nerve. So in details about this nerve you will study in the sole of the foot. Okay. So these are the cutaneous innervation on the posterior compartment of the leg. So bones also you have seen, you can go through these parts of MCQ. So now you can unmute actually. So tendon of the flexor hallucis longus grooves on the following bone. So you have to answer now. Hello?
Calcaneus.
Calcaneus, right? That is the in which part of the calcaneus? Can you mention?
Posterior.
That is the just below groove on the just below the sustentaculum tali of the calcaneus. There is a groove. Yes or no? Yes.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
So that is the
Yes, ma'am.
okay. The groove just below the sustentaculum tali of the calcaneus will passes the tendon of the flexor hallucis longus. Okay. So now tendon of which of the following muscle is intracapsular?
Popliteus.
Popliteus.
Popliteus. Good. Now third. Which of the following is not true about the tibialis posterior muscles? Number 3, proximally it is attached to both the tibia and fibula. So it is arising from both tibia and fibula, you know, right? Posterior surface of the shaft of the tibia and the fibula. It is correct? Yes or no? Tibialis posterior, deeper group of the muscle. And then it grooves on the posterior surface of the lower end of the tibia behind the medial malleolus because it is passing beneath the flexor retinaculum. So it will groove on the posterior surface. It is also true. After that, fourth one I'll mention, one of its distal attachment is to the tuberosity of the navicular bone. This is also true. Now you have to remember the structure passing beneath the retinaculum. So we have mentioned that is the from medial to the lateral is the term tibialis posterior, and then D, that is the flexor digitorum longus, and the artery nerve and the flexor hallucis longus. So this is the wrong statement, right? Because tendon of tibialis posterior is medially. So first one is the medial is the tibialis posterior term, then the digitorum, then artery, nerve, and the hallucis longus, the most lateral one. Okay, it's the wrong statement. After that, largest branches of the posterior tibial artery is
Peroneal artery.
okay. Now you have to, at least for Viva actually, you have to know about the origin insertion of almost all muscles actually, and mainly action of other are almost digitorum and the hallucis, that is hallucis longus and the digitorum longus. You will know easily, but popliteus you have to know in details, okay? And then that is the tibialis posterior muscle, which is very very important for sporters. So that means you have to know everything about the tibialis posterior muscles. And after that, is the structure, that is details about the flexor retinaculum. So for theory exam also, it is very very important. You have to draw the diagram of the flexor retinaculum and describe the what is this retinaculum and attachment and the structure passing beneath the retinaculum and its importance. Why it is important? That is flexor retinaculum. Okay, these are these things you have to remember from this topic. Okay, all right. Hello.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, you go through it, and if you have any question, you can ask. I think we have only 2 minutes left, right? Any question regarding this topic?
No,
Hello?
ma'am.
So many muscles are coming, right? Going
Yes,
over the head.
ma'am.
Okay, you go through it, and if you have any trouble, you can ask me. Okay?
Ma'am,
Yes, yes.
what is the idea of remembering all the action of the muscle?
Action, that you have to see the insertion side only, right? Where it is inserting. That these are the normally if you see there is a flexor compartment muscle where they are acting. Right? Suppose is the extensor group of muscle are there, right? So their main action is the extension only. And then like if you remember flexor hallucis longus, right? Yes or no? Hallucis means it is going to the hallux only, right? So their action is there only. So during the contraction, what you do? You like Hallux, you remember? So during the plantar flexion of the hallux, what will be there? Contraction of this muscle will be there. So there your action will be over the distal, that is hallux. Okay, that is the plantar flexion of the hallux. That is the greater toe. If this tendon contract, then there will be that action. That is the plantar flexion. Here you apply in your foot.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, normally you plantar flex. In that condition, you can feel your tendon. What that tendon is doing. Okay,
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
okay. And basic is if it is flexor, they will do flexor compartment muscle will flexion in that particular area, and extensor compartment there will be extension. Okay. So you have to go through that general anatomy portion also for this. That is the, I think IR ma'am had taught about the muscles and their concept, how they act, origin, insertion, right? So now previously we used to say that origin will be the fixed point and the insertion will be mobile part, but that is not there now, right? That new concept has changed that view. So it will act mainly during the contraction and the relaxation. All these action, like the action are performing by the, there is contraction, either contraction or the relaxation position of this muscle. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. And if there are any other question, you can ask. Okay, so it's already 11:01. I think next class will be there. Okay, thank you. So in the chat box,
Thank you,
also
Thank
ma'am.
you, ma'am.
you can ask. Okay,
Okay, ma'am.
okay, thank you.